had the 11th ranked defense with Rod Marinelli and Chris Rashad the year before, and you got rid of them to bring in some dude named Mike Nolan, who hadn't been a defensive coordinator since he was the leader of the 31st ranked defense in the Atlanta Falcons in 2014. That's who you brought in. Okay? And you want us to understand, oh, we need help defensively? Well, maybe schematically you should have done things differently. Maybe you shouldn't have put, the Marcus Lawrence and all of those boys in compromising positions, messing up their careers and their stats because you put in a scheme that doesn't work for them. Jalen Smith, by the way, him too. You damaged all of them, okay? The bottom line is this. The Dallas Cowboys religiously find a way to get in their own way. 28th ranked defense last year. You went from 11 to number 28, giving up points like it's going out of style. The Dallas Cowboys gave up 473 points last year. Last year, the Dallas Cowboys gave up 6,183 yards. This is who they are, okay? And now, what did we hear going into this draft? Jerry Jones. That man's in love with that Kyle Pitts out of Florida. That man really, really loves that boy. I mean, that Kyle Pitts is something special. He can play. He's a generational kind of talent. Jerry's in love with him. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to grab him when everybody and their mother knows that the Dallas Cowboys need as much defensive help as they can possibly get. Offensively, you're a juggernaut. You might not have the greatest offensive line in the world, but it ain't straight trash. You still got Ezekiel Elliott. At the wide receiver spot, you still got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, okay, and Amari Cooper. Your issue is defense. So, of course you need to improve your defense. So what? Tell us something we didn't know.
Well, I think, first of all, I think it is, I think we should care about these comments from Stephen Jones. And I'll tell you why, Stephen A. Jerry Jones is a showman. And he bought the team and he got to play GM. And Stephen Jones' daddy bought the team and he gets to play GM. But I got to tip my cap to the Joneses, including Stephen Jones, maybe especially Stephen Jones. Because if you get your football team that way, you just buy it and install yourself as GM, the odds that you're even going to be average at the job are low. But if I had to say where I would rank the Joneses as GM, including Stephen Jones, I'd say a tick above average. Average to a tick above average. That's a hard thing to do when you didn't really earn your spot. You just bought the team. No, Stephen Jones makes rational decisions. And I remember feeling like the balance of power in terms of who's really making decisions on the Cowboys in an active way was kind of shifting from Jerry to Stephen right around the time where they drafted Zach Martin. Because they had a chance to draft a quarterback that year that was a showman and a guy who may have sold tickets, and I'm sure that Jerry Jones was interested, but Stephen Jones said, wait a minute, we need offensive line help, and they wind up drafting Zach Martin. And that was a rational choice, and it was one of the moves that made the Cowboys a powerhouse, at least on offense. So what is Stephen Jones saying here, Stephen A? What Stephen Jones is really saying here is we're going to have sound draft strategy. Now, you can say whatever you want about me saying, hey, if I was the Giants, I'd reach for a quarterback. What kind of sound draft strategy is that? I don't think you always have to go to the orthodoxy. I think sometimes you depart from it. But here I agree with Stephen Jones' assessment. Look, we need help on the defensive end. But we're going to take the best available player if that guy's clearly better than everyone else. If Kyle Pitts falls to them, probably got to take him. If he's the best player in the draft, even if you think you don't need him and you need defensive help, if he falls to you, you got to take him. And that's just rational decision-making, and it's one of the reasons the Cowboys have been a little bit better than 500 over the last 10 years or so, with Stephen Jones making a lot of these kind of decisions.
All right, a little better than 500. So, in other words, in 25 years, I would like to remind y'all that in order to win a Super Bowl, you have to win a minimum of 3 games. If you're a wild card team, you got to win 4 games because you got 3 conference playoff games, and then you got the Super Bowl. If you don't have a wild card game, then you got to win 2 conference playoff games and then the Super Bowl. So you got to win a minimum of 3, in some cases 4, to win a Super Bowl that season. The Dallas Cowboys have a grand total of 4 playoff wins in 25 years. 25 years. If I remember correctly,
not a lot.
Stephen Jones was around that time. Stephen Jones didn't just arrive. The last quarter century, hasn't he been Jerry Jones' son? I think he's been Jerry Jones' son for the last try. I think it's safe to. I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't know his age. I didn't look it up. But I'm pretty sure it's safe to look at Stephen Jones and say he's older than 25. Hey, he's older than 50.
A little bit.
He's been around. Jerry Jones, my buddy. You understand? He's about 78 years old now. Okay? He's been around. And Stephen Jones has been around. That entire 25-year period, a quarter century for those of you who don't know. The Dallas Cowboys have won 4 playoff games. And you just sat up here, Max Kellerman, and said, hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, hey, they've been an above 500 team. Really? That's what we're doing? America's team, greatest country in the world, symbolic of the greatest nation on God's green earth. They're the franchise that represents America, not the Patriots. Not the Patriots led by Tom Brady that won 6 Super Bowls, all right, and went to 9 Super Bowl appearances. Not the Patriots that have a name more appropriate for being America's team, or the Cowboys, all right? I mean, if you want to talk about what represents America, isn't it Patriots instead of Cowboys? I mean, what the hell are we doing? Where the hell are we going here? John Wayne is next. We gonna bring him up too? I mean, come on now. The fact of the matter is that all of this noise about the Dallas Cowboys being so respectable, they got 4 playoff wins in 25 years, and their number one cheerleader, and their number one cheerleader, their number one cheerleader, Max Kellerman, and number one cheerleader is a 3-time Super Bowl champion that works for the NFL Network, walking around with a toupee. That's who we're talking about here, Michael Irvin. Okay, that's their number one cheerleader. I'm joking about the toupee, but I'm half serious because it might be a toupee. I'm just saying, this is what they're going on. All right. Come on now. Just stop it, please. Why do we even care about them? Forget the Cowboys. Forget them. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.